to tell us about Bitclub. Been around since October of 2013. I've looked at cryptocurrency for quite a while. My son is a cryptocurrency geek, and the one thing I wouldn't do is get into anything that sounds like a Ponzi scheme or anything that's shady that you got to put money into and get 1% back a day or whatever. Here, we just lease or buy mining equipment. It works for us 24 hours a day. You have to be in.
Yeah, how did I get
That's why you're here. Just so you know. Am I doing something wrong?
No.
No, we're just laughing at Jimmy.
No, that's my Rolls Royce.
800,000 people in Bitcoin. 7,000 to 8,000 people a day coming in, but only 10,000 people in the USA. And before you leave here, you're going to see a big opportunity. The one thing I like, and I'm just going to say this one thing. I've been in network marketing for many, many years. And here's one thing I've always seen. When you bring people in, they go out the back end, you got to recruit more, you never see the residual check. Here it's just the opposite. It's not like network marketing or multi-level marketing at all. What happens is you bring people in one time, they never leave, they're happy, and the money gets bigger every month. You're going to hear about it right now. We got Andy Nakashima right here in the back room. Hold your hand up, Andy. He's one of the top leaders, not in California, but in the United States. And he's got 34 mega monsters below him. He's got people he's brought in that are making over $1 million per month. With that said, Andy, all yours.
Well, good evening, everyone. How's everyone?
Good.
You know, it's really kind of weird for me to come back to the States and talk to you guys in English. Because I spent so much time in Asia, you know, ni hao, konnichiwa, you know, and coming back here and now I get to talk to English. And I'm getting confused for what to talk about. But anyway, I'd like to start out by giving you my testimony on my experience with the Bitclub. What happened to me was back in 2014. These guys, the founder of the Bitclub, started a company.
Not me.
And they came to me and said, hey, guys, you know, you guys got to listen to me. Because we're getting into something that's huge. You won't believe what we're going to do. And we're going, yeah, okay. What is it that you guys getting into? Have you heard of Bitcoin? I looked at them and said, come on, you guys. You guys are getting involved in the money game? Are you trying to get me involved? You know, I got a, reputation to protect. I can't get involved in the money game. Because, no, Bitcoin is not a money game. It really is a true business. And it's going to be huge in a few years from now. Well, I didn't see the vision. So you know what happened to me? I said, you guys could go ahead and run off and do the business and money game, and I'm just going to stay calm, conservative, like the way I am, and I'm just going to stay with my business, and I'll be okay. Years later, okay, I get a call from these guys. Say, hey Andy, man, are you still in LA? Yeah, I'm here in LA. Good, we're back in town, and we want to go out to lunch with you. Okay, so sounds good. And I thought they were going to tell me about how bad their experience was, right? So I'm going, boy, I could tell them, I told you so, and I told you guys should have been spotted, right? So I go to the restaurant in LAX, right by the LAX, there's a Houston Steakhouse. So that's what they selected. So here I am in Houston Steakhouse, waiting for them to show up. And I get a buzz, I get a call. They go, hey man, you know the LA traffic, we're running kind of late. So instead of being inside, why don't you come outside and wait for me? Okay, I'll wait for you outside. So I went outside, and there's a bunch of people that were smoking, so I kind of stayed away from that group and came over here by myself and standing there waiting for him. He goes, get another bus. Hey, we're here. Well, this gentleman was driving the Ford Taurus, used. Year before, right? So I'm going, you're here? Where? Looking for that Ford Taurus, right? He goes, I'm here. I said, I don't see you, man. Where are you? And he goes, right in front of you. I don't see you. He goes, let me flash the high beam. Because it's the lunch hour, right? Beep, 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 beep. Okay. I see a Rolls Royce flashing a high beam at me, but that ain't you, is it? He goes, so he walks out and goes, hey man, it's me. That's when my eyes opened up and I was ready to listen. So the entire lunch hour that we had, I was listening to him about Bitcoin, what it's about, how it works. And I went home and did the research on the Bitcoin and found out how real it was. Next day, I called him back and said, I'm in. So teach me everything you know about Bitcoin. And I want to learn as much as I can. So I could go out there and drive a Rolls Royce, right? So that's how I got involved. And for the next 8 months, I was with top founder of the company, going around different countries and doing the meetings, listening to what he has to say, and doing research afterwards. And you know what? It was tough the first few months. And the reason why it was tough is because we are really mining. It's not like the company said, hey, we're going to do this and this, like one of those home shopping network, and it gives you all these good things and say, hey, if you don't get in now, you're going to lose out, and you're going to be making money tomorrow. It's not that way, because we are really mining. And the mining machine doesn't stop for 30 days. You know, the first 30 days, you sit there calmly, quietly, anticipating that, oh boy, I'm going to have this mining machine that's going to start cranking, and I'm going to make money. Well, when it first starts cranking, you're not getting that much money, you know? It's a very little money. It takes a little bit of time before you start to make money. So I was just kind of frustrated, if you could believe it. And once I started getting cranky, that's when I said, oh wow, this is great. I am really getting the money on a daily basis for money. And that's when I decided that, I want to go out and share this with people. Up until that time, I didn't know if I could share with people because I was embarrassed. Because what if I go out there and share with somebody if it didn't work? Or what if I go out there and share with somebody and found out that the company left, or company took off on me? So I was kind of, conservative again, so I was just kind of holding back. And once I found out that it works, it really does give you daily earnings, and at the same time, found out that there is no company. And that made me feel secure. Isn't that weird? Most of the time, you want to have a company so you can feel secure. But in this age and era, it's the opposite. You don't need the company. And with Bitclub, it's a cooperative club. There is no ownership. And what that means is each one of us that's involved in a Bitclub is part owner. And how it works is this way. The reason why you have to have a corporation when you get involved is why, do you know what the reason is? Why you have to have a corporation, you have to have a company? Because bank asks you to. Because anytime you're dealing with the fiat currency, any money, you have to go through a bank, don't you? When you've got a company, you get your business license, you go to the bank, and they go, okay, can I see your business license? Next, can I see your corporation paper, documents? Is that how it works? So you have to have a corporation, And so our mind, we've been planted with the mindset that it's not a legit business if you don't have a corporation, or if you don't have a business license. But in a future world, with the blockchain technology, you do not need that to be a legit company. Why? Because blockchain is decentralized computer system. You got computer running all over the world, keeping the same information. It's much stronger than having a server at the bank holding your information saying, yeah, they're real business. Isn't it? Because you got all these computers all around the world running, telling you that, yeah, they are business. So that's how it got started. And what I want to say is that this tonight, what you're going to see, is going to give you a really interesting frame of thoughts in your mind, because you're going to see something new, especially for the people who've never seen the information about Bitcoin. And for the people who knows about Bitcoin, it's going to give you something to think about. Many times, right now in the media, they talk about Bitcoin. It's a great opportunity. You can invest by buying Bitcoins. Or they say, Bitcoin, it's going down, it's going to crash. It's that one or the other situation. But what they don't realize is there is really an opportunity with Bitcoin on the opposite end. It's called the mining. So that's what we like to present tonight. And I'd like to introduce you to John, who's going to do the presentation for us. Do you want to take over?
Sure. Well, thanks for inviting us up. We've been wanting to come up here for quite a while. We met, Dave and I had worked together a little bit in the Kacarab program. And I liked that a lot because it was a gold program. At the time, I was deeply involved in financial planning, started in 1973, and so worked my way up before they had IRA accounts and 401k accounts and all this other stuff that we have to mess with today. And in 2008, I really realized that there was no safety in our money anymore. And so I had to quit my practice because I could no longer look somebody in the face and here's a family, here's a business owner, and he's asking me to help him manage his money. And I'm telling him to put his money here and put his money there in hopes that he has some money in the future, right? See, I don't believe that anymore. And so I had to quit doing my practice. So what am I going to do? So I started looking around for different programs that I could get into. And Kacarab kind of filled the bill for a while. And then I ended up moving on from there because they developed that 3D secure programs and verified by Visa. And moving money international was now a big problem, and I had brought in something like 3,000 people, and I couldn't even buy a little gram of gold because I couldn't get a $60 payment through over to Europe. And so I moved on and got involved with some crowdfunding things and other things. And it took a while to realize what's real and what isn't out there. It's the education that you're going to get. If you've lost money, you've been invested in anything, you've got to realize that education's expensive. It really doesn't matter how you get it. I lost a lot of money. And I needed money desperately because I was financially in serious trouble. Anyway, the long and the short of it was, we got in a couple programs, and we had known Andy in one of those. And we kept working our butts off, and we weren't making any headway. We were getting deep into companies, and we got promised money. You know how you look on the screen and it says, you got $50,000 sitting there, you can't get it right now. It says, just wait, we'll get that to you later. And then all of a sudden something happens, the company blows up, the bank takes all the money. In this case, that's what happened. They stole $3 million, which killed the company, right? Nobody got any money. So I worked several years on these kind of programs and not making anything. Well, fast forward, Andy called me up one day and said, hey, can we have lunch? It's like he did with these guys. I said, yeah. So I'm thinking he's going to talk to me about a program he told us about several years ago called CoinPay. Kathy and I were very much involved in CoinPay because my associate Kathy that I work with has run a number of businesses. She had a lot of problems too. Medical bills. They got over $1 million in medical bills that they have to pay. So they had some hard times too, lost their house. But we're looking hard for something that would be real that we could actually sink our teeth into and not have to change all the time. Not have to worry about whether we tell somebody it's good or bad, right? So he asked me up, and he's got a son over there, Brandon, who got a distributorship for the Ledger Nanos. Anybody know what a Ledger Nano is? It's a hardware wallet. This is where when we talk about cold storage, we're talking about little USB devices that can transfer your crypto. So he said, we were wondering if you wanted to be a distributor for that. Yeah, answer is yes. Yeah. Now, what about CoinPay? Where's CoinPay? What's going on with CoinPay? It's not ready yet. Same old story. It's not ready yet. Still taking more time. Things like that. So I said, finally, I was kind of a little frustrated with myself because I'm not getting anywhere. So I just said, Andy, you're making pretty good money, right? And he told me how much he was making at the time. I says, is that per day or per month or what? He says, that's per day. Andy, what the hell are you doing? Show me everything right now. He walked me through Bitclub. And I looked at that and I said, why didn't you tell me about this before? He says, you weren't ready to hear it. So that started our process in this whole thing. Now we have a program that we can actually sink our teeth into that's very real. And I don't have to worry about the money evaporating. Bitcoin is our money, not government money. It's a completely decentralized way. Nobody owns it whatsoever. But we can all use it because it isn't in any one place. It doesn't exist anywhere. You can't go to the president of Bitcoin and say, hey, I don't like what you're doing, or I want to talk to you and drive over to the office. There isn't one. So when you're dealing with governments that are creating massive debts like $20 trillion in deficits right now and $200 million in unfunded mandates and pension plans that are coming apart. Here in Loyalton, California, they cut the pensions, CalPERS cut the pensions by 60% up there. And they did it with just a letter. It says, we don't have the money to pay you, so we're just going to change your $49,000 pension to $19,000. End of story. Well, they worked all their life, right? Why do people go into government jobs? Well, at least I'll have my benefits and I'll have my pension, right? That's why they stay and put up with all that crap. Well, that's not the case anymore. So what we're going to show you is a way to protect your financial future, kind of get out of the system, a system in which now you have control of your own money. There's two kinds of freedom in this country. There's political freedom and there's monetary freedom. If you can get your political freedom, there's ways to do some of that stuff. They still had control over you because we had to use their money. We were forced to use dollar bills, right? What's behind a dollar bill? Anybody know? I mean, is there any value there at all? Look what they've done. Why should we leave these guys in charge of everything, right? Well, the banks are running the other way, but what they didn't tell you is that they absolutely are in deep into blockchain technology and getting involved in Bitcoin. They've been doing this for some time, but did they ever send you a notice about what they're doing, that they were going to make these changes? We are in a fundamental change area that's going to change the way we do everything on the planet. You're at the front of this thing. You are not late. In fact, barely 1% of the 1% that actually know about Bitcoin are actually doing anything with it. This company is leading the way for the average person to participate in this thing in a big way. You can do this very small, or you can go very big. It's just entirely up to you. So I'm just going to go through my little presentation about it, which is kind of different than what everybody else does out there. But we can talk more afterwards and go into some detail about it. That's how I got here, right? Hopefully you guys will agree with what I'm going to show you and jump on board and work with this. Because this is a team. This is a team effort. Nobody here is by themselves. They get started, right? We're all accessible.
You didn't explain my picture.
Huh?
You didn't explain my picture.
Oh, yeah, James. We went to the LA car show, and we're walking around the show, and you know how if people do selfies? See, I don't do selfies. All these other guys do selfies. Is Andy still here? Is he back? If you ever see Andy's pictures on his selfies, he never smiles.
That's true.
I'm collecting.
Isn't that Andy?
No,
No,
that's
it's
James.
Jimmy.
Well, I'm blind. I need the lights up.
And he's one without hair.
So I'm collecting a series of his selfies because each deadpan face he does is completely different than the other one, you know? It's a lot of fun.
But you didn't explain the
Anyway,
car.
we're at the show, and Jimmy takes a picture, and that's Joe Abel's car. That's the one that he bought. Now, Joe is making so much money. When he started, he had $7 in his pocket. He was over in the Philippines, totally failed. Didn't know what they were going to do. And all of a sudden, he's making more money in his life than he can even imagine. So, told Michael Alexander, one of the guys that we work with, that he didn't know what to do with his money. So he just keeps buying cars. So he bought that car, but he, and every time he buys a car, he mods it up, right? That's got a custom paint job on it. I mean, it's really, modified. How many cars does he have now? Maybe 11, 12?
Well, he has a 10-car garage, so
Yeah, he just bought another one. But that's what he does. And then they had it roped off so nobody could touch the car. So the license plate on there says Bitcoin. And then notice it's on the old black and yellow California plate, right? So it's a custom plate, but it says Bitcoin on it. Now Andy got a Jag. He got one of those new F-type Jags, and his license plate is BTC Jag. And you're also getting a Maserati, right? All right. Well, let's get on with this show here for a minute. And listen, here's an example of one of the guys that knows about money. What is this guy? How did he make his fortune? He made it trading. He did forex trading. What's he doing now? If it's good enough for him, is it good enough for you? The thing is that you used to mean that you needed millions of dollars to get into these kind of programs. You had to get the entryway in, right? You had to get through the licensing process, and they had to vet you and all this kind of stuff. This guy had ruined countries with his money trading. Now he's getting into Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. You can get in too, but whatever he does, he can't really affect you. He can only enhance what you're doing. So I just like to show that. Now, here is a list, and I'm sorry I can't get the whole thing to expand here, but this is a list of people that as of July 2017 that are actually investing in blockchain technology and involved in cryptocurrencies. And there's some names that you might recognize. Everybody know who Richard Branson is? Right? How about the National Association of Security Dealers? What are they doing there? This isn't really money, right? But there they are. They're involved in it. And you go down this thing and you start finding out that some of the biggest banks are involved in it right here. How about the Utah Governor's Office is involved in it? Oh good, we can scroll it over. Let's just do that. Okay. You guys know who Tim Draper is? The famous venture capitalist? He predicted back in 2014 or so that Bitcoin was going to be worth over $10,000 a coin. Everybody laughed at it. He was on MSNBC and other stores like that, and everybody was laughing at him. They thought he was crazy. Well, in 2017, towards the end of the year, it not only hit 10,000, it blasted past and went to 20,000. And at that time, everybody's going, I got to get in, I got to get in. So you just keep going down here. Okay, here we go. Here's Wells Fargo. Everybody knows that bank, right? How about Goldman Sachs? Now think about this. Do you realize that all the top money guys in our government all come through Goldman Sachs? They rotate in and out all the time. They're involved in this. Did they tell anybody? No. How about JP Morgan? You remember Jamie Dimon, the head of JP Morgan, saying that Bitcoin was a fraud? Well, there he is. He's deep into it, and his trading desk was actually trading it, even when he said he was going to fire anybody who was trading it, right? So now they're getting involved in it. Anyway, the whole point is you can get this list. It's online. It's a Google Docs that's out there. You can get it from Coinbase. It's Coinbase? Not Coinbase, Coindesk. Coindesk. Coindesk.com has this chart over there. You can go look at it. Maybe they'll have an updated one by now. But the point I want to show you is this. A new technology is grabbing money faster than you can shake a stick. Get down to the bottom. Here you go. In 2012, they only invested about $2 million in this area. But by 2017, they had 1.799 billion in already. That's probably doubled or tripled by now. But nobody's telling you about it. Nobody's inviting you to the party, right? Well, you guys think you should know about it and get involved? I say yes, you should know about anything that anybody in this country is moving the governments and all the companies into that kind of a program. What's it going to do to us? You realize that the blockchain technology, they're already predicting that roughly 800 million people are going to be out of work very shortly. That's shocking. Also, you guys paying attention to the robotics? The robots are taking over. You know they're delivered pizzas with robot trucks now. They cook the pizzas on the way. So when you get there, open the door and you get your pizza out. It's just cooked fresh right there. Robots are making it. So that's what you need to know about. The next thing we have to deal with is the concept of scam. People all the time are saying to me when I talk to them, and they've not heard about Bitcoin or anything. Believe me, most people have not heard about it. Because I ask people a question, what are you doing about Bitcoin? That's the basic question that I ask people. I don't ask them if they think about it, I don't care. I don't ask them if they know about it, I don't care. All I want to know about, what are you doing about Bitcoin? Because that puts the question in their mind that they should be doing something and they don't really know how to answer the question. That gets a conversation going. So the first thing that it brings to mind most of the times is they say, oh, well, that's that stuff that the drug dealers and all the bad people are doing. You're using it, scam and stuff like that. We don't want to be any part of that kind of thing. Well, here's proof that it is not a scam. Anytime you're dealing with a government program like an IRA account or 401k account, the government approves everything that you can put in those accounts. If the government says it's okay to put it in the account, is it a scam? Well, it is a scam, but it's their scam. Okay? Because here's the dirty little trick. When you put money inside one of these plans, you don't own it. You think you own it. There's several Supreme Court cases that it came about. Guys, you ever remember MF Global? You ever hear about MF Global? MF Global was a case, I think a former governor, Corzine, ran that firm, and it was a futures firm dealing with Colorado futures, grains and cattle and things like that. Well, he decided to close the company down. He kept all the money, $65 million. And people sued him, and it went to the Supreme Court. And the answer was, no, I'm sorry, he doesn't have to pay you back. You're an unsecured creditor. It's not your money, it's their money. So what we found out through two different court cases is that anytime you put your money in an institution, any bank, it's not your money, it's their money. And if they close the bank and want to keep your money, you're an unsecured creditor. Now, I'll give you another example about, you hear about how money's insured, right? I had a fellow that had a small business. He was a muffler guy. And he put his payroll in Mechanics Bank on a regular basis. Well, he went in the week, put the money in and cut the paychecks. Bank opened on Monday. Banks shut down. The FDIC took over. Now you're supposed to be insured for the amount of money that you put in your account. Well, it depends on what they determine is your money. So they agreed that he had an average of $85,000 in the account. They were only going to pay him the $85,000. They were going to pay him the $148,000 he just put in there to make payroll. There's all kinds of horror stories like that. There was another one in Beverly Hills. There was a guy who just retired. He had $2 million. He went in there, Beverly Hills Bank, put the money into the account. Monday, he had no money and no retirement. They kept the money. They don't have to pay you. They can take up to 10 years and pay you no interest on it on a federal program. They don't teach you this stuff. Why? They don't really want you to know. Now, the problem we're having here is that the majority of people, is anybody paying attention to what's going on in Venezuela? Do you understand it's a total failed country completely? People that are surviving down there are surviving on Bitcoin. Why? Because they get electricity for free. And so what people started doing was they were individually mining little tiny bits of Bitcoin, and they were getting the electricity because it was free. And all of a sudden, some of those people started getting arrested and being put in jail for stealing electricity. Go figure. So they got smart. So then they decided that they would have a couple machines here, and a couple machines there, and a couple machines over there, and they'd spread it out so that they wouldn't see any sharp increases and decreases and stuff like that. And they started living off that stuff down there, but it's getting worse. And what did Venezuela just decide to do? It created its own coin, trying to back it to the petroleum reserves that it has in Venezuela, right? So now they're saying they're trying to outlaw Bitcoin and everything, want to force everybody to buy petro coin down there. So this is a thing that's coming very quickly. But here's the thing I want you to see. Barron says Bitcoin is a red hot asset that's now being used as a retirement investment. Well, how can it be a scam when one of the top organs in the world, financial press, says it's not? The world's hottest asset is the newest way to invest for retirement, Wall Street Journal. They don't know how true that is. Now, what they're doing here is they're talking about the IRA 401k. What happens when you transfer your coins to that contract, government contract? There are two keys. There's a public key and a private key. You have to transfer your private keys to that institution. You no longer have control of your cryptocurrency anymore. They can take it, do what they want, shut down. You cannot get it back. You should never put stuff inside IRAs and 401ks if you can avoid it, especially crypto coins. Now, the way they sell this thing is they say, look, you can trade in there. You can make all this money. You don't have to pay taxes on your trades. Well, first off, it's a capital asset. It's taxed at capital gain rates to begin with. Why would you take a capital gain asset that's taxed at a lower rate and stick it into an ordinary income? You just converted it into ordinary income and you just gave it to the government. Now, every time you try to take the money out, you got to pay more taxes because you got to pay at the ordinary income rates. Are taxes going to go up or taxes going to go down? You know the answer to that question. So why would people do this? Because they've been sold on the idea that this is something that they can do, it's a benefit for them. I never ever let clients do this if we can avoid it. What I like to do is get money. Every time I see one of these accounts, I got to get people's money out of there just to try to protect it. It's not safe. Okay. One other thing here. This is the blockchain. This is the actual blockchain. This is the website for it. And what we want to do is we want to, where's my charts? Let's see if I can, no, I know what the problem is. Blockchain.info. Let's see. Here we go. Here's where you go. You go to data, you go to charts. See that? Click on charts. You scroll down the page until you see this round color chart right here. Mining information. This is one of the things that Andy taught me right off the bat. This is the list of companies that are successfully actually mining in Bitcoin. And it's the percentage. And most of these are all Chinese pools. And they mine for themselves. Now, some of these are our partners. Antpool, for example, is kind of partnered with us. Bitfury, another one over here, is kind of partnered with us. But here we are right here, Bitclub Network. You can't get into these other programs, but you can get into the Bitclub Network. And we're soon to be the largest mining company in the world. Click on that. We click on, you go down below here.